Hi, Xai'nyy of planet Earth. This is Xai'nyy. This episode is going to be on the Xai'nyy peak pathway. A peak pathway is for any given mojo when you use all 8 of your powers as they were designed to be for the greatest amount of productive harmony. As a Xai'nyy, we've already discussed your 4 conscious powers, which are Xai'nyy, Vi, and Z, but there are 4 other remaining powers in your unconscious. You can put all these 8 powers in a ranking, what we call the consciousness ranking, which is the order of how easy it is for you to access them from your conscious mind. The first ranked is Xai, and that's the easiest power for you to access consciously. The next easiest power for you to access would be Ni, then over to Vi, and then over to Z, powers that we've covered already so far. But then in the unconscious you have Xi, and Xi is the strongest and closest to the surface in the unconscious, so it's the easiest to reach through your conscious powers. Then back here you have Nai, and Nai is deeper still in your unconscious, and deeper still over here is going to be the power of Vi, and then finally back here the power of Zai. So that's the order of your consciousness peak pathway, which is Xai, Ni, Vi, Z, and then Xi, Nai, Vi, Zai. When you experience peak pathway though, it's not going to have such a technical feel to it. It's going to have a real life, like a bit like a ride in your psyche that you experience through your whole body and being and throughout your whole life in every activity that you do. Going along with the consciousness hierarchy, we'll go through the peak pathway. The first part is the charging up phase, and that's basically your Xai. That's the power that's always there for you, and so you never have to start your story like, how do I start doing that? Well, it's already on right now, so you don't need to like press a button and start it. It's already going. If you're a Xai'nyy, your Xai is already booting up and has been booting up waiting for you to do something with that energy. We call that the charging up phase, giving you energy to do what you need to do with your heroic storyline. Then you have the conscious accessing of Xai, which gives you major momentum, as we talked about. The conscious accessing of Ni, that gives you minor momentum. Then you go and cross the divide. You're going to go across to the other side of the psyche. And then over there on that side, you're going to have your modulation powers, starting with Vi and then with Z. When you make that trip, you have emotive resonations, you cross-contextualize them, you kept the life lessons that you never wanted to forget, and then you systematized them and articulated them to help yourself and others. And when you do that, it's like a portal to your unconscious, because Xi, the top power in your unconscious, responds to the special kind of Z that your conscious provides. So when you go Xai, Ni, Vi, and Z, it creates a chain reaction that awakens your unconscious genius. When that happens, you'll feel a rise of your energetic levels, a swelling of energy. It's similar to the rising in energy of the charge-up phase, but now you're feeling your unconscious powers given over to you. They're interfacing with the conscious powers, boosting them up. So when you feel this boosting of energy, that's going to be called the swelling up phase, and that comes from successfully doing your conscious powers in such a way that it awakens your unconscious powers. When the unconscious awakens, it'll tend to come in the form of a tidal wave, meaning the Xi and the Nai of your unconscious will come together as one. They also come in a personified form, which we'll talk about more in later episodes, but just as energy, Xi comes as code of conduct, the way things should be done in a heroic code of conduct, sense of community, social awareness, but it's combined with nice conceptualizing, detaching, and visioning. It gives long-range planning, modeling, things like this. All this will come as a being in your psyche to you. It will come as a general sensation and as a reaction to what your psyche does consciously. As you do things consciously, the Xi and the Nai of your unconscious will react accordingly as one compound unit that we call tidal wave. But then these can differentiate into distinct powers, so the Xi and the Nai to do things for you to interact with, but it won't be as naturally differentiated as the conscious powers are. The conscious powers, particularly on the momentum side over here, tend to be more differentiated, able to grab them easily, individually. And as you go over to your Vi and Z, it's maybe more of a reach, so it's not immediately hands-on. And then when you go to your unconscious, it's a bit like you're fumbling around, or like it's being handed to you from places unknown, so it comes in a package deal. But you can unpack it into the Xi and the Nyy. Then you're going to have the coastal wave, which if you do it correctly, you're going to have energy coming from the V and the Xai'nyy of your unconscious. But that flows naturally from your Xi and Nyy in the unconscious that you have first. So if it goes well, the energy will continue and will go over to your side, the right side here, through the V and Xai, and return it to your native quadrant of Xai. So there you're ready to start the cycle again, and this can be done if you peak properly, a bit like flexing a muscle or going to the gym or something like that, and then you'll have what we call the refractory period. So when you go through the peak pathway from your Xai'nyy, Vi and Z, and then your Xi, Nyy, and then V and Xai, there's kind of this but, you know, don't worry, that's just a refractory period, and it'll immediately start building up again to the charge up phase to begin that process again, starting with the Xai. Now all your powers are interacting together all the time, so it's a question of how you access them and how you understand what's going on. So it's not going to be a strict, you know, Xai'nyy, Vi and Z and so forth. When you do things, you have all the powers working simultaneously, and then you may suddenly need to read a paper or say something, and that goes straight to your Z. So you can go in any order that you want to, however, going in certain orders make for the greatest gaining of energy to help bring into any activity or maneuver you want to do. So the main ones, the main hierarchies for the largest potential of energy will be the consciousness one, which we talked about. So the Xai, the Nyy, the Vi, the Z, and then the Xi, Nyy, V, Xai. When you do it in that order, it'll be easier to use powers that might be far away, might be a bit of modulation, because you brought momentum and understanding to them. You built them up, you know, you built that steam up. However, the consciousness hierarchy is it's not actually the hierarchy of most influence in the psyche. The hierarchy of most influence in the psyche is what we call the energetic hierarchy, and that has to do with the corridors, the channels that take precedence in your psyche. However, that's different from what powers are in your conscious. So as a Xai'nyy, your top energetic power is still Xai, but the second energetic power would be the power of Xi. Even though it's unconscious, it has nearly equal influence in your psyche as the Xai does, and really is sort of equal, except that the Xai is conscious and it takes lead in the dance. For you as a Xai'nyy, the Xai takes lead over the Xi. Continuing on, your next energetic power is Nyy, because the interpretive channel is the next most important channel for you. But that means that the fourth energetic ranked power is the power of Nyy, another unconscious power. It's unconscious, but it's part of your interpretive channel here, which is your second ranked channel. Next for you is the power of Vi. And after Vi is the unconscious power of V. And then you have the polar power of Z over here. And then the furthest as far as your energetics is going to be the polar of Xai. As a Xai'nyy, you can access all your powers to do all kinds of things, but you'll always be working with that consciousness hierarchy rank of how much you can directly go for them, and energetic ranking on the level of influence that power has based on which channel it's in. So the range is incredible, but the more you're working with your design, the more you're able to understand it, and the more you're able to access your powers and do the incredible things they can do once you know how they work. So know yourself, grow yourself, save the world.